All right, everyone, welcome back for another episode of Carnivore Trades. Today's Monday, October 21st, 2024. If you've not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. Anyways, let's get into it today. So markets today, kind of uneventful when it was all said and done here. We had like a very soft open. And we just kind of sold off pretty sharply right around the first hour mark, right into that 58.30 handle. So I remember we talked about this last week when we had that sell on Tuesday. I said as long as we're below 58.30, I give the bears like minor, very short-term control just on an intraday basis. We actually back tested it Wednesday and then put in a higher low, and that was it. So we reclaimed it, but that was that level, and essentially we retested it today. And yeah, just bouncing right off of that. Market's holding up into the end of the day. Nvidia is the culprit too. So Nvidia and Apple to another degree. Apple looks like it's ready to break out as well. I've got upside right now for Nvidia to about 150. So that's probably about the high of, I would expect the high of the week to be. I talked about 142, and that was a level intraday. It put in a higher low and got above that by the end of the day. So we'll see. I would expect 150 for this would be the next level, and that might be alone enough to get us up to 5,900. It's only 50 points away, and maybe even higher than that. So that's kind of what I'm expecting right now. As long as that's continuing up, the market's fine, and we continue to see this this dispersion play out, right? The Russell just been getting pounded all day long. It didn't even bounce off the lows. But then, tomorrow with the Russell's up, I bet you Nvidia will pause. And as long as that continues, as long as that money continues to rotate, there's no real issues with the market. You have to have, the volatility is trying to explode, right? It's trying to get uncorked over and over and over, but we can't do that until you see all, the Dow, Russell, S&P, and QQQ down all at the same time, right? Preferably with volume. But as long as one or two sectors is pumping, right? Look at the heat map here. And as long as you've got enough of these stocks pumping, you could have terrible breadth and it doesn't matter. So market's holding up. Again, 59 is still the next level. Below that, we get into minor trouble here at 5,800 where we could talk about more of a dip. But right now, that's what we're looking at. Tomorrow, Texas Instruments after the bell. That will move technology. And then we got Tesla and Lam Research, IBM on Wednesday. A couple of smaller names tomorrow. Verizon, I believe, well, not smaller, but, less market moving names. Verizon, 3M, GM, GE, and I think a few others. Freeport Mac, Lockheed Martin, so. But Spider's holding up fine. No issues. That's despite yields getting close to my target. I told you guys that, and I was one of the few here that said when the Fed cuts, if we, this starts to work back towards 4%, it'll go to 420, and almost there now, 4.182. So again, market able to ignore everything until it doesn't, I guess. But is the Fed cutting into growth? We'll find out. QQQ again up 95 cents. Again, 500 is going to be about the equivalent of 59.50 on SPX, and then your high here, I would assume that's going to be like, 5,900 would be the equivalent of 5. 59.50 is probably the equivalent of double top, and then 6,000, is going to be, I don't know, like 507 probably. Maybe we even get to a rug pull where we pierce the high on QQQ, by a little bit, and then we get close to 6,000, and that's where we start to pull back. Again, I'm just throwing out a scenario, not saying that happens, but just something to think about. That often is the case at times. IWM here down 1.5, so definitely on the weaker side here today. But you still have the higher lows, right? Here's your level. We can start talking about it, right? We can start talking about the possibility of an ascending triangle, right? Because it's pretty much, that's pretty much what it is, right? So again, no issues here, but definitely backing off a little bit. We had bank weakness, we had healthcare weak, we had home builders weak. But Mag 7 holding up, so the market's holding up. Dow down 0.75%. No problems here. Trend is still nicely up. SMH up 0.5%. This is still weak though, right? So it's not all, it's kind of haves and have-nots in the semiconductor space. Yeah, Nvidia, Broadcom, TSM are good, but you got ASML, KLA, and some of these other ones. I think, yeah, AMAT on the weaker side. So it's a little bit more of a haves versus have-nots. But you can even see right there, Texas Instruments, Micron down. Qualcomm's not near the highs. TXM, it's not terrible. Micron way off the high. So it's haves and have-nots right now within the semiconductor space. Fortunately for the market, the haves are TSM, Nvidia, and Broadcom. So they're all the big ones. The only small one the only big one that's down is ASML. So, but SMH holding up. We'll see if it can get through that 260, 262 area finally. Again, higher lows here. So, cloud down fractionally today. Again, still no problems right now. I think as long as it's above 90, we're okay. And then 80, like 88 to 87 would be a really big level. If we'd lost that, that would be very concerning. But I mean, we're not even close to it right now. So just backing off a little bit here. Dow Transport's backing off as well. Again, like pretty much everything, there's still higher lows here. So no problems. And even bigger picture, you have massive macro higher lows here. And I think that's going to lead to a big rally into the end of the year. All right, interest rates. Twos, again, still flat here. So they're just flagging. And it's interesting. If this breaks up, there's going to be a huge. I think if there's something here that's gonna stop this rally, it's the 2-year breaking up. I know we've had the 10-year, we've had the 30s, and this is the long end. This is long-term inflation expectations. That's why, in my opinion, this macro environment's different. You still have those, you still have those traditional kind of like bond heads, macro heads saying like, oh, buy bonds, etc. We're going to have deflation. We're going to have hard landing, all that stuff. When the Fed cuts, historically, yeah, that's what happens. The long end goes down. The short end just goes down more, right? It's not happening right now. It's steepening, right? It's changing. And I expect that to continue. Something I predicted a while back. And again, this was a good call here. We're basically at resistance now. So ever since the Fed cut, rates have gone up. And specifically on the long end. Now, if the short end starts going up, that's where the problem comes in. There's your Fed funds rate. It's marked there in yellow. If it starts going up, they're not going to be able to cut again. And they're going to be in a pickle. That's what's going to, that I think, if there's something that's going to jar the market macro-wise, that could be it. That hasn't happened yet. I'm not even saying that'll happen, but if I had to come up with something, I might go there. XHP down 3. So good outside move. Very good outside move. Again, is this looking at long-term rates right now? Possibly. BNQ, is that looking at long-term rates? Possibly. So certain sectors in the market may be starting to pick this up. Down 2%. XLF down. ARE down big. That's definitely rate sensitive, as we know. Down 3. Still an okay chart, though. No problems with it, but definitely backing off pretty aggressively. Pretty much across the board. Heck, even the broker dealer, it's serious if the brokers dealers are down. And down 1% there. We'll see. Maybe it comes back to retest this trend line here. Rates here, obviously the focal point of the day. And as long as Nvidia is up, who cares, right? So oil here up 1.1, $1.16 rather. And oil, up. It didn't break out though of this trend line. If it does that, that's definitely a positive correlation with long-term rates, which it usually is anyway. But what I like though is you have a higher low here. I know it's only one day, but it's still a higher low and you're hitting the trend line. So I think if we go up there again tomorrow, we should break through that. And I'd say your first level's around like 72, like on a daily basis. Intraday, like 71, there's a little bit of a level there, but then like 72 and then 73. There's a short-term levels there, but oil getting a nice bounce. See if that can follow through. XLE had a little gap and crap today, down 27 cents. Could make a case it's kind of bear flagging here, but I'm not really, it's not the greatest pattern. I think the macro move is still bullish, especially if oil breaks through that level. I don't see XLE going down too much. XOP here down 0.5%. OIH managed to scratch out a gain, so I still think the energy stocks are pretty attractive here. CCJ down 10 cents. Nothing really wrong. Still above the low of yesterday, so that's still in a really strong uptrend. URNM, the same thing. So these are just kind of backing off, having a pause after a really good move. We knew 27 was going to be a resistance here for URNJ. We still had some of the smaller names up. Oklo, that one is still getting FOMO squeezed, and then SMR is consolidating after a big move. So these names are still in pretty good shape. Nat Gas defied the odds and closed green. Go up 7 cents. We'll see. You got to get back above, like 245, 250 to start to rally. I think this only has like a week left on the X contract. You'd like to kind of see that pump a little bit into the end of the contract. I do think this will put in a low and rally into November, but we'll see. A ton of contango here, by the way. So there's Z at 283 and X at 233. It's like 50 cents. So that's why I still see net gas in the low threes no matter what, on any sort of rally, which I think can happen. But continuous here is going to get messy. Net gas rallying today. We'll leave it there. Dollar index above closing above 103.88. I still think it's really. I know it's really stretched here, and this is resistance right now. So I don't see there being a ton of upside in the dollar right now. But very impressive nonetheless. Gold here started the day out very strong and closed red. A little bit of uptick in volume there. Who knows? Maybe a little bit of distribution going on. And no problems yet, but definitely noticeable. Silver, high today at 34.50 essentially. Volume there too, and we did come in. Still green though. Platinum again, green to red, and palladium green to red too. I had a feeling it was going to do this and retest that wedge today. So I took some profits on Friday. Copper here, down 2 cents, no problems really. There's nothing really going on. Well, what I would not want to see is more sideways here. I want to see this start to get up past 450 here kind of quickly. And then Bitcoin finally backing off of 69. Again, we figured that would happen. A little bit of a kind of a rolling top. Almost has the same kind of look as it did right here. Remember going into this area, or the lower end of this area, and even right here. Kind of and then it kind of flagged for 2 days and it failed. Might do a similar thing here, but again, as long as you have higher lows on this, I think it's ready here. So looking pretty good. And I think dips are I would love another dip to add in more. So more exposure than I have. Anyway, yeah, 58.50. That was a pin pretty much all day long. Pretty uneventful here. We did get a pop at the end. Does that lead to a run tomorrow? We'll see. Does IWM get a bounce today and Nvidia back off? Or the Dow? We got some Dow stocks tomorrow. Some blue chips. Again, Verizon, 3M, GM, Raytheon, Freeport Mac, Lockheed Martin, Sherwin-Williams. So good blue chips tomorrow. And then for tech in the afternoon, we got Texas Instruments. We got Enphase too. That's not a big company, but they do move. So We'll see what we get here. Again, as long as we're above 5,800, I don't see any issues here at the market. And as long as we have a group of sectors pumping, or a big enough sector pumping, I just don't see volatility getting uncorked enough. VIX did finish up today, but again, market doesn't care. But we'll keep an eye on those short-term rates too, or short-end rates as well. But all right, anyways, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Again, you guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I'll see you guys all tomorrow.